Good evening, everyone. This is Mike. Welcome back to my channel, and I'm here to do a response video to a community chat that was introduced by my friend Harry Benson, who goes by the YouTube name Macrophotos. And Harry asked a question. Let's see, let me get this question correctly. It has to do with the Criterion Collection. How has the Criterion Collection affected our enjoyment of films, our experience of films, and experience as collectors? And I think that every time we repeat that question, it changes a little bit. But that's the gist of it: is how has the Criterion Collection affected us as film lovers and collectors? And Harry did a great response. Sorry it took this long to get on the ball with this, get on board. But my friend Ian, All Things Film, he also filmed a response, and so did my friend James, DVD Collector 1974. So be sure to check out their videos as well. I'll try to remember to put a link down below to each one of their channels. So my experience of the Criterion Collection, what has it brought to me? I think that can be summed up in one word, and that is bankruptcy. I spend way too much money on these things, and I enjoy it so much I don't think I'm going to stop. I spent a lot of money in this July 2019, for the most recent 50% off Barnes & Noble sale. I bought a lot of really good stuff, and there's no end in sight. I love these things, and I'm going to keep buying them. So I will go without food if I have to. But no, I can only repeat what everyone else said. Everyone pretty much said kind of the same thing, that the Criterion Collection, the availability of these films and the quality of these films has expanded their experience more than they probably ever would have with them not being available. And everybody mentioned foreign films, silent films, and classic films and all this sort of thing. And I have to admit that my primary interest as a movie watcher and a movie collector has always been, and probably will continue to be, films that come out of Hollywood. I've always been fascinated by old Hollywood, beginning in the 1930s up through the 1960s, and still am. And that's my primary focus in when I look for things to collect. And even my Criterion Collection, when I look at my 3 shelves of films, they are mostly Hollywood films. But it's because of Criterion that I have discovered so many things. Not just because of Criterion and the existence of Criterion. I think I get my ideas mainly from listening to what other people say. James, Ian, Harry, and a lot of other people. I listen to what they say about films. For example, James and Ian were talking about, I think Harry mentioned it too, silent films. The Phantom Carriage, which is a film from 1921, 1922, which I had never heard of. And I think I've seen it on the shelf at Barnes & Noble, and just looking to see what was available, and I just sort of passed it by without much interest. But when I heard Ian talk about it at great length, and James as well, and then I started researching it, what other people were saying or writing about it, I knew that I wanted to see it. I'm so glad that I did, because it's a beautiful, beautiful film. And that's happened to me quite a bit. And it doesn't just happen with foreign films or silent films, but it happens with a lot of other films as well. I get ideas from other people, but the fact that they are available in such pristine condition from something like the Criterion Collection is pretty amazing. It's an amazing opportunity. Now, when it comes to the Masters of Cinema, like James said, I have no connection with that. I believe those are Region 2 films. I could be wrong about that, but they're not really available for me around here, and I doubt if I will ever start collecting them. But never say never, right? So I'm trying to remember what my first Criterion Collection purchase was, and I narrowed it down to 3. I think the very first thing that I bought was probably Chasing Amy, right? Kevin Smith. Then another early one was The Naked Kiss from 1962, a Samuel Fuller film. Very interesting, freaky film. And then also The Blob with Steve McQueen, which of course is a mainstream, low-budget Hollywood combination of teenage angst and horror, which is a classic film. But that just shows you part of the range that they have. I mean, these two films are pretty far apart, you know, in theme and scope and quality. Well, quality, I think both have high quality. But then you get everything from The Blob to Ingmar Bergman as well, and Michelangelo Antonioni. A lot of great films that I've been able to discover. And I'm trying to remember back when I was young, going to the movies in a place called Danville, Illinois, which is pretty blue collar. I don't remember any foreign films ever being available at our local theaters. The only films from outside of America that I can remember for sure were the Hammer horror films from England, and occasionally they would show some of the Hercules films, which were mainly Italian, and some of the Italian horror movies like Black Sunday and Castle of Blood, things like that. They would come, but those Italian horror films were packaged in a way that the filmmakers were trying to make them look like they were English films. So in a way, just kind of a strange hybrid there. But it wasn't. Can't remember the actual outside of those. I can't remember the first movie that I ever saw that would be something completely off the wall. I do remember way back, maybe in the late '60s or early '70s, on one of my television stations. It must have been a cable station. I don't know. But they showed a Roman Polanski film called Knife in the Water. And I remember watching it because it was such an odd title. And I don't remember now if it was dubbed into English or if it has subtitles. It was just such a strange film. But it wasn't until the early '70s when I moved to a college town, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, which is where the University of Illinois is. And the opportunities for cinema over there, not only in the theaters but on the campus, they were much more diverse. And it was then that I began to see foreign films. A lot of them were shown on campus. They had these film societies where they would just show all kinds of really avant-garde, strange movies from all different countries. A lot of cult films. Things like Eraserhead, which of course are American films, but we would sit usually in some auditorium in these hard wooden chairs, very uncomfortable. I sit there and watch, and there was no air conditioning in most of these places, and just you really had to love what you were watching and have an open mind to sit in those conditions and watch movies. And this is way back before the advent of home video, and I remember James mentioned being attracted to 8½, because he was interested in Barbara Steele. That's what attracted me to a classroom, a very hot classroom in the middle of the summer, somewhere on the campus of the University of Illinois, that was showing 8½, for one night. That was the first time I saw it. Had to be sometime in the late 1970s. And you really had to be dedicated in those days to sit in those uncomfortable conditions and just to watch movies. But we did it all the time, and it was a great opportunity to see them. Of course, in the 1980s, we began to be able to rent films and buy them on VHS, and then of course the DVD era. And it just opened up a whole new world to me. Now, you could say that it's turned me into a film snob. I think it probably has. I'm kind of a film snob anyway, but you've seen the Film Snob's Dictionary. Maybe you haven't, but you should. There's an entry here for the Criterion Collection. Let me read you what it says. Achingly tasteful video reissue company that, like the rock snob beloved title or labels Rhino and Sundays, you all know what those are, has found success by recycling old movies as lavish, extras-laden packages for deep-pocketed connoisseurs. So that's what we are. We are deep-pocketed connoisseurs. Yeah, sure we are. The pockets are getting less deep all the time. Having all but cornered the market on the works of prestige directors like Jean Cocteau, Federico Fellini, and Akira Kurosawa, Criterion has branched out into repackaging rock documentaries like Gimme Shelter, Monterey Pop, and acceptable, quote-unquote, fun movies such as My Mad Godfrey, Armageddon, and With Nail and I. So there you have it from the Film Snob's Dictionary. Remember Borders Bookstore? I miss that place so much. So yeah, I absolutely love the Criterion collection, and I spend a lot of money. I spend a lot of time watching them. Unfortunately, I still have a big watch pile, which is consistent of Criterion, because I buy more than I have time to watch. I keep buying other things as well. Some of my obscure B films and horror movies from God knows where. So there's stuff all over the place, but I love it, and it's a great part of my life. And thank you very much, Harry, for introducing this topic of discussion. If anybody else would like to jump in, Jay Crash on the Car, I'd love to see your take on this. Anybody, Blu-ray collector 1971, come on, guy, let's all talk about our love for Criterion, because we know we're hooked, right? We are addicted to this wonderful company and what they have to offer. And I'm babbling like a fool. Thank you very much for watching. Comments are welcome.